Welcome to the MorrowMarriage podcast, guys. I am thrilled to talk about today's topic. Don't talk about the past. We're going to talk about why peace is so important in the home.
Stop trying to lead and make decisions all the time.
You should not be proud if you raised your voice and screamed at them.
No matter what.
No matter what.
I'm Cass.
And I'm Kathryn. Why am I allowing him to do this in front of our children? Why am I allowing this to happen at all? You don't get to say whatever you want to a man and push him to the point where he snaps.
I might have been a really bad man the other day, but today I went out of my way to be a good man, and she thanked me for it.
Is that you always want to act in the direction you want to go. So
He is just a paycheck. What about his needs?
we're MorrowMarriage.
Let's flip divorce statistics with the new marriage.
And you know why? It's because it goes against what you guys are always told in society. And if you know anything about us, and if you're following, getting tons of value from this podcast, you know we break away from society's views because we know we're responsible for disrupting divorce. We believe we're ordained to do this. We believe the reason we are here is to create men and women saving their marriages, providing a better example. And it's because we do things differently.
And because society sucks.
They're getting divorced, guys.
Like nobody wants to be just run of the mill with society because average right now is not good.
It's broke, overweight, unhappy marriage, probably going to quit, probably repeat the cycle.
The state of the world is we're not in a good place. So we don't want to be society. We don't want to be average.
That's
So
right.
here we are.
All right, so don't talk about the past. We're bringing this up because there was a woman, she's commenting on a lot of my posts right now. Very upset. I can tell she's just hurting. And a couple times she found content where it was relevant to include, but I need to talk about the past. Now listen, I'm not saying you're never going to talk about the past. I'm going to encourage you to not talk about it, to provide structure. Let me give you an example. Okay, so
Keep in mind, Cass coaches men. I coach women. Men and women are not the same, and we do coach a little bit differently.
that's right.
So when he's speaking right now, he's not actually speaking to the women.
No, that's right. I'll tell you what, like my men are told she's going to run into the side of your car. He's the car, by the way. She's going to run into the side of the car. Okay. That's good. We want that. We want women to challenge. We want women to test. We
Get
want
their
women
emotions out.
to get their emotions out. I say love her through it. Okay. And we can do that in a couple ways. One, it might be asking questions, being curious, and let some of these emotions come up. See, I'm not really concerned about the issue and why she didn't come home tonight. I'm more concerned on the feelings that led her to make that choice. And if she can get those feelings out, we can now potentially solve a problem, meaning we can provide structure for where we want to go. You see, you think if we talk about the issue and you're not allowed to not let me know that you're not allowed to stay all night and not tell me what's going on. Okay, yeah, we all know the rules of marriage. Like literally, what are you doing fighting about that? We all know. You sound like a lecturing asshole, which is why we call you nice asshole, right? Well, actually, Kathryn.
Yeah,
coined
I
the term.
call you that. Yeah.
And it's because you do all these wonderful things. I love you, please, baby, don't go, and all of a sudden you're apologizing and all this and stuff. But then you start cramming down her throat all the reasons why she stayed out all night. She stayed out all night because she's not safe. You need her to recognize that, say that, acknowledge that, so you can start to reflect and grow as a person that makes safety a possibility in the home. Now, I'm just really putting a blanket umbrella on this right now.
Okay, yeah, and for a quick second, let me just say that he's not condoning if you're a woman and you're staying out all night. Of course, that's going to make your husband angry.
Of course.
He's saying provide structure. You don't need to go in and lecture. You don't need to go in and correct. She already knows that what she did was wrong. So if I'm speaking to you as the woman, you know what you did was wrong. Let's stop doing that. But when your husband or your wife, this goes both ways, is having a big emotions, specifically what he teaches his men, when the woman is hitting the side of your car, having these big emotions, how are you going to respond so that she feels safe?
That's right. She needs to be open enough to listen, men that are listening, women are loving, natural, empathetic creatures. If she's not there doing that with you and she needs to hide, go somewhere else, go somewhere she feels safe, go somewhere she just doesn't have to see you. We realize that everything that we don't like right now is happening because of all these other things. Those are the things that you think you need to talk about. Instead, just provide the structure for where you want it to go. Make it more exciting so she doesn't want to leave. Be more respectful, and maybe she'll respect you and let you know where she's going. That's a good first step if she's already breaking those kinds of rules. Like, you know, if you understand that this is a process to move forward, then you're not wasting time past negative. Nothing negative creates positive. It doesn't work that way, guys. Do you have anything for the women who like to talk about the past? Because I get a lot of women, not women, I get a lot of men whose wives, like the stories are like, oh my gosh, I ran into my car so hard last night. And like, you know, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? And like, she just constantly comes. Do you have anything for women?
Yeah, I do. So I think for men, it's really important. I know you didn't ask me about men, but I
Mhm.
just want to reiterate what Cass is saying and just affirm this. For men, it is important that you move forward. It's important that you provide that structure. It's important that you're that safe space and you're moving forward in a different direction. You're moving forward in a healthy direction. You are the leader in your family. If your wife is leading, it's because you're not. And you need to put on your big boy underwear and lead your family. That doesn't mean that you're, hold on.
I was going to qualify it for you real
Go
quick.
ahead.
Yeah. Rock, lighthouse, shoreline, shoulder to cry on. I didn't make this shit up. So she's saying it that passionately because she believes it, because it's true.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't make it up. So men, you need to do that. So that's why he's saying you don't need to live in the past. You don't need to necessarily talk about the past. You as a man need to move forward. Women are a lot more emotional than men. And it's not just the whole men aren't supposed to cry. It's not a stigma. It's not a stereotype. We are different creatures. Now, women in the relationships that we work with, women tend to need a lot of healing because what happens is sometimes we have men that need everybody needs a lot of healing. And sometimes we have men and it's the opposite where the women have been extremely abusive. But generally speaking, the couples that we work with, it's the men that are realizing that they shouldn't be the way that they are. They want to be somebody different. The women are traumatized. They have been emotionally abused. They're very hurt. And again, women are different than men. And so when they want to talk about the past, you need to let them talk about it. It doesn't mean that you should be bringing up the past. But if your wife brings up if your husband brings up women, if your husband brings up the past, you also need to learn how to process this with him, how to take responsibility, all of those sorts of things. In general, men, you need to move forward. Women, if you need to get it out, you need to have a partner that's going to allow you to get it out and to support you. And so the woman that is on your social media saying, but sometimes we need to talk about it. Sometimes we need to. And for men, there's a process that the Gottmans talk about with affairs. And I relate it to everything. It's attune, atone, attach. Attune, we've talked about it on other podcasts as well, means you're listening with empathy and validation. So when your wife wants to talk about something that you did 5 years ago, you can't sweep it back under the rug. It's been bothering her for 5 years and something just brought it back up again.
Well said. Yep.
Okay. She's probably not holding on to it. I could even come up with something. We have an amazing marriage and it's possible that I could get triggered into something that happened 5 years ago and I could just have an emotional meltdown. Mm-hmm. He allows me to have my emotional meltdown. And you know what he does in that process? Attune, atone, attach. Attune is listening with empathy and validation. Let me get my feelings out. Atone is making it better. Now, because it was 5 years ago, all he has to do to make it better is be the tender, loving man that he is today, apologize, hold me, like affirm me, and then attach is when you attach and you move forward from the past. If you don't atone, making it better, apologizing, repair. Attune, listen, atone, apologize, repair, attach, like it's synonymous with connect. That's what we're building. We're building connection. So if your wife needs to talk about something, the worst thing that you can do is get defensive. There's nothing you can do to make it go away. It's not going to go away, but you can show her that it's okay for her to feel it's valid. It's valid that she feels upset. It's valid that this scarred her, this traumatized her. You still need to provide the structure. This does go both ways, but it's just a general statement, the men versus the women. You still need to provide the structure for that safety to allow her to get them, because if she holds those emotions in, what happens? You men all know what happens. What happens when I hold my emotions in?
Oh boy, it can go completely nuts. She could cry for hours. She could scream.
I'll be a volcano at some point. And
that's
you
right.
would rather have a slow drip of lava all the time, which is what women kind of are, than a volcanic eruption, which is what happens and women, you know this, when you hold in your emotions because your husband isn't providing structure and safety for you to have that slow trickle of that little spicy lava that likes to get out. Mm-hmm. We're women. Women and men are different. Again, so you want her to get it out. You want to provide that structure. If you need to talk about it, same thing. If your wife has hurt you, you both need to learn the skills, but in general, it's the men that need to provide that safety for the women to have that slow trickle of whatever emotion that is.
I love where this went because it just, like, we're always evolving, guys. There still is a lot of repair that just comes up because we do this podcast date day, for example, because we talk to people sometimes with the worst of the worst, right? Relationships like ours. And so a lot of times things will come up.
He
And
still apologizes every day if I bring up a
if something comes
subject,
up, I'm like,
even with a different
sorry.
couple.
And I try to have fun with it a lot of times too. And like the structure for leading forward is different. Sometimes you're curious, sometimes you're having fun. I call it adventure. And I think it's really important to understand because men get really stuck on that validation, happy wife, happy life. We talked about it recently on a podcast, but one of the most powerful reflections I think that we both made was watching you reflect in being safe enough to feel, meaning those eruptions that you talk about. And by the way, that's a great way to look at it with the lava flowing. That's feminine flow, emotions flow. Okay. And so if you want less explosions and the good kinds of explosions, lots of those instead, like the point is, then you have to let her get to that point where she connects the dots that it is safe to have those feelings. Again, it doesn't mean you can't, as a man, have feelings. Doesn't mean that you can't process, but you've got to learn what you're communicating. What was the first thing she talked about? Pretty much defensiveness. You can't. We just had the testimonial from clients on the last episode, and she brought that up. He was always so defensive.
And
right?
she said, what the first thing that changed? She said she was blown away because he was listening.
Yeah, which is the first word she used here, right?
Yeah.
Attunement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, guys, I hope you got tremendous value here. Remember this: the past, it can be important, and it does define you a little. But you're going to be better off focusing on what you know is good, which is the joy, the happiness, the fruit of your work that you can have moving forward, the love, all of the direction you actually want to go.
We process the past. We don't live there.
That's right. I love that. It's a great way to put it. Yeah.
See you guys next time.
See ya.